Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today our group will present to you about the data analysis. After two reverse presentation for the first stage and the second stage, that being the hypothesis and data collection. Now our group will to analyze the data. For data analysis, it involves 5 steps. The first step that means organizing the data. After pushing the data into the software, we make the calculation. That means for the step 2. And the third step that means we know about running the calculation and we integrate the data in information. That means for step 3. And after figure out the problems of ASDA, what is related to the employees and the customer, so we make the recommendation for ASDA to improve their performance due to the time limitation and also the cost of money. So our group just survey of 100 employees and 200 customers rather than 10,000 for the generalization. That means the least make station of our group. For organizing the data, you can see clearly what is for doing in the organizing the data. But for the specific case of ASDA, we will eliminate or we will throw away for the survey form with employee or customer they don't answer the question. And then after sort down, we divide it into group type, that means employee and customer, to running the calculation. The software to analyze the data very famous and very well known, that means non-A, the SPSS with the latest version is the non-A, latest 18. Okay, for the scale, there are 4 types of scale, but the ASDA research just based on the ordinal scale. Because the questionnaire of ASDA designed based on the larger scale, being from totally disagree to the totally agree, to testing the level, different level of the employee and customer for their perception about the job dissatisfaction and whether the law right affect on the community or not. And finally, that means the company performance. After putting the data into the SPSS software, we do some calculation. That is known as the frequency, percentage, mean, standard deviation, and the final, the most important thing that we can see here, that means regression. This is the table to summarize what we're doing. For instance, like the frequency, our will figure out how many percentage of employees they will dissatisfied with their job, or whether how many percentage of customer they think that the law right of the goods will affect on the community or community health, or whether how many percentage of the job performance of employees or the community affect on the general performance of the companies. The more important I want to explain to you, that means to run our hypothesis of ASDA, that means for independent variable and dependent variable. For independent variable, you remember in last time we saw us in the model, independent variable related to the law rise and the job dissatisfaction. To test for dependent variable, that means the employee performance and the community, and the final one that means the company performance. How to running the hypothesis testing? We're using the factor analysis to test that whether the questionnaire design in the correct way or not, or is lost into the different column. If, for instance, if I running the testing the factor analysis for the employee performance, and I running the factor analysis if one of the questionnaire they slot in the one column, that means our questionnaire design is correct. And to test for the relationship or correlation between the employees' performance and job dissatisfaction, or just the communities with the loud rise of the customer, we're using the regression. Regression to figure out the correlation between the dependent variable and the independent variable. For instance, I give you an example. Like we're testing about the job dissatisfaction with employee performance, and we figure out the correlation is 0.7. That means they show that a positive relationship between the job dissatisfaction and employee performance. That is just the explanation of what is the regression. So they said that how well the set of variables predict the value of another variable. That means for the hypothesis that I mentioned before. Okay, now we move to iterating the data. After figure out the number or the problems of the ASDA by running the SPSS to analyze the number due to the collecting data of the questionnaire. So we now try to explain and illustrate what the number does mean. For the correlation, I give you an example like that. If the correlation between the Black and the community is negative, so that means they cannot prove our hypothesis is true. But what if we getting the SPSS and it give the positive number like 0.8 or just 1%? That means strongly to prove our hypothesis. That means the job dissatisfaction effect on the employee performance. That means for the integrating the data. After integrating the data and we know exactly what the problem of ASDA facing, so we make some solution and recommendation for ASDA. For instance, like we know that the hypothesis 1 is correct, like the job dissatisfaction effect on the employee performance. So we will motivate the employee by applying some theory like the Maslow theory or the Herbert theory by the motivation factors and the hygiene factor, how to motivate them or persuade them to contribute more to work rather than dissatisfy and affect the job performance of the companies. However, nevertheless, for the limitation, because just 2 times for collecting the data, so our sample cannot generate for the whole sample. We just collect up 100 for employee and 200 for the customer. So for the standard research, they need to generalize for 10,000 people. So that means limit our generalization. Nevertheless, due to the time limitation and that the sell for the ASDA for the cost and also very expensive to sell the time, the cost and also know about the problem of ASDA facing. This is also end with our presentation. Thank you very much for your listening.